Level 1. The entry point. You're 24. Fresh law degree. You just got hired as a legislative aide for a state representative in Ohio. Salary, $42,000 a year. Your desk is in a shared office that smells like burnt coffee and copy machine toner. Your job, draft bill language, answer constituent emails, sit in committee hearings. On your third day, a man in a tailored suit walks into the office. No appointment. He introduces himself as a government relations consultant for the Ohio Restaurant Association. He hands you a USB drive. On it, fully written bill text, tax exemptions for restaurant equipment purchases, pre-formatted, legal citations included, even a summary memo for your boss. He says, "Just have the representative introduce this. We'll handle the rest." You look at the USB drive. This is how it starts. Level 2, the access economy. Within 6 months, you understand the system. Lobbyists don't bribe anyone with cash and envelopes. That's movie nonsense. They trade in access. Your boss needs campaign money. A state rep race costs $200,000 minimum. Individual donors max out at $2,800 per election cycle. So where does the rest come from? Political action committees, PRCs, trade associations, industry groups. A lobbyist for the pharmaceutical sector invites your boss to a policy discussion breakfast at a hotel downtown. Scrambled eggs, weak coffee, 30 other legislators. After the breakfast, each attendee leaves with a campaign check for $1,000 from the pharmacy. No quid pro quo is stated. It doesn't need to be. Your boss now has the lobbyist's cell number. When a healthcare bill comes up, the lobbyist gets a returned call. That's the currency. Not cash for votes. Access for money. You write this down in your notebook. Access is the product. Level 3. The bill factory. You learn that most legislation isn't written by legislators. It's written by lobbying firms, corporate legal departments, and industry trade groups. A lobbyist for the agricultural sector emails you draft language for a bill to relax water usage restrictions for industrial farms. The bill is 12 pages long, legal language, citations to EPA regulations, and fiscal impact analysis attached. Your boss reads the summary, likes it, agrees to sponsor it. You submit it to the clerk. It gets a bill number, HB 4492. It goes to the Agriculture Committee. Here's what you realize. Lobbying firms have entire departments that do nothing but write legislation. They employ former legislative counsels who know the exact format, the correct statutory references, the procedural tricks to get a bill through committee. Your boss's name goes on the bill. But the words were written by someone paid $200,000 a year by the soybean industry. No one thinks this is strange. This is normal. Level 4. The committee system. The Agriculture Committee has 11 members. Your boss is one of them. The committee chairman is a fourth-term representative from a rural district. He decides which bills get a hearing and which die in committee without ever being discussed. HB 4492 gets a hearing. Why? Because the agricultural lobby made significant campaign contributions to 8 of the 11 committee members, including the chairman. The hearing lasts 40 minutes. 3 witnesses testify. All 3 are employees of lobbying firms or trade associations. They talk about job creation and regulatory burden. No environmental groups were invited to testify. No public health advocates. The witness list is controlled by the chairman. The committee votes. 9-2. The bill passes out of committee. You realize the committee system is a filter. Most bills die here. The ones that survive are the ones with organized money behind them. Individual citizens can submit written testimony, but it gets filed in a binder. No one reads. You'll understand the real weight of this in 2 years. But not yet. Level 5. The revolving door. Your boss loses re-election, budget cuts, and a sex scandal. You're out of a job. A lobbying firm offers you a position. Salary, $95,000 a year. Your job, use your relationships with former colleagues in the legislature to push client interests. This is called the revolving door. You go from writing laws to lobbying the people who write laws. It's legal. It's expected. Half the people you worked with in the legislature will do the same thing within 5 years. You take the job. Your first client, a private prison company trying to kill a sentencing reform bill that would reduce incarceration rates. Fewer prisoners means less revenue. You text a former colleague on the Judiciary Committee. You buy him lunch. You explain the concerns about the bill. You don't say, "Vote no because my client loses money." You say, "This could have unintended public safety consequences." He listens. He trusts you. You worked together. The bill dies in committee. You get a performance bonus. Your client renews the contract. This is when you stop sleeping well. Level 6. The shadow legislation. You move to Washington, federal lobbying, a firm on K Street. Salary, $220,000 a year plus bonuses. At this level, you learn that some of the most important decisions never happen in public. They happen in appropriations riders, in amendments added to 1,000-page omnibus bills at 2 in the morning, in regulatory comment periods, where industry submits 50-page technical analyses and public interest groups submit 2-page letters. Your client is a defense contractor. They want a specific weapons system funded. It's not in the president's budget. It's not in the House defense bill. You work with a senator's staff to add the funding as an amendment during conference committee, the closed-door meeting where House and Senate negotiate the final bill. The amendment is written in technical language. It doesn't say, "Buy weapons system X." It says, "Allocate $340 million for advanced missile defense research and procurement under Section 224, D2. The bill passes. The weapons system gets funded. Most members of Congress never knew it was in there. The bill was 4,000 pages long. You realize that transparency is a performance. The real decisions are made where the public can't see. Level 7. The regulatory capture. You're hired by an energy company. Your job, influence federal regulations, not legislation. Congress passes laws, but federal agencies write the rules that implement those laws. The EPA, the FDA, the FCC, they propose regulations, open a public comment period, then finalize the rules. These rules have the force of law. Your client wants to weaken an EPA rule on coal ash disposal. You submit a 300-page comment during the public period. It's written by scientists and lawyers your client paid. It argues the EPA's cost-benefit analysis is flawed. You also do something else. You get former EPA officials, now working in the private sector, to submit their own comments supporting your client's position. You coordinate with industry trade groups so that 50 different entities submit overlapping comments, creating the appearance of broad opposition. The EPA reviews the comments. They weaken the rule. Not because of corruption in the criminal sense, because your client had the resources to flood the comment process with sophisticated technical arguments, and environmental groups did not. This is regulatory capture. The industry doesn't control the agency through bribes. It controls it through superior resources, expertise, and endurance. Level 8. The crisis point. You're 51. You've been in the influence industry for 27 years. You've worked for pharmaceutical companies, defense contractors, tobacco companies, tech firms. You've helped kill bills that would have reduced prescription drug prices. You've helped pass bills that increased incarceration. You've helped weaken environmental protections and financial regulations. You're wealthy. You own a house in Chevy Chase and a cabin in Montana. Your daughter goes to Stanford, but you can't explain to her what you do. Not honestly. You sit in your office at 3 in the morning, looking at a memo you're writing for a client, a fossil fuel company trying to delay climate legislation. The memo outlines a strategy to fund think tanks that will produce studies questioning the economic feasibility of renewable energy mandates. You know the science. You know what's coming. You've read the UN reports, and you're writing the memo anyway. This is the moment most people in this industry face alone. Not because they're evil, because they've spent decades rationalizing a system that rewards this behavior, and by the time they see it clearly, they're too embedded to leave. You finish the memo. You send it. You bill the hours. Level 9. The machine runs forever. You retire. You give interviews about the need for lobbying reform. You write an op-ed in the Washington Post about transparency. People call you brave. But the system doesn't change. Because the system isn't a few corrupt individuals. It's a structural logic. Money buys access. Access shapes legislation. Legislation protects the interests that funded it. Congress could pass laws to limit this. Publicly funded campaigns. Stricter revolving door rules. Transparency and regulatory comments. But those laws would require members of Congress to vote against their own funding sources. So the laws don't pass. You know this. You spent 3 decades inside the machine. The machine doesn't stop because one person walks away. Somewhere right now, a 24-year-old is walking into a legislative office for her first day. She has a law degree and a lot of optimism. A man in a tailored suit will walk in next week with a USB drive. She'll look at it. She'll think it's strange. Then she'll think it's efficient. Then she'll think it's normal. The cycle runs forever.